Hello, and welcome to Husky Talk. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully, and with me, a very special guest who had her first experience at the University of Connecticut and a UConn football game, Miss Kelly Verkler. Kelly, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come on and share your experience, and a very unique experience nonetheless. I have to first of all thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Sean Rabinowitz, president, proud supporter of Husky Talk. They specialize in wealth management, retirement planning, and employee benefits. And when I make my first million, he's going to get me a Tesla. So thank you, Sean. Kelly, we talked for a while about going out because our good friend Michael Burton invited us and wanted us to come sit in his suite. And that's something I've never experienced before. And I wanted, obviously, to bring you so you could experience it with me. It was interesting to say the least. What would you say first about the drive out there? Because our plans initially changed and we drove out on game day.
I think it was amazing. Yes, we were in a bit of a hurry to get there, but the thing that I noticed the most was, and people will probably laugh at this, was I'm a big fan of what's called leaf peeping. Um, and all of
The fall
the
foliage.
yeah,
I can't say foliage.
yeah, all the trees had turned already, where they haven't in New York, but they did in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And as we were driving there, I was just amazed at the colors.
It's beautiful.
It was it was amazing.
Yeah.
The drive there was very hectic and very crazy. Um, People drive 85 miles an hour.
No rules. There's no rules.
But it's like the speed limit is 50 and people are doing 85.
Yep.
So while I was trying to keep up with traffic, I was also trying to just look around me, and I just loved the drive there. And
It's not a bad drive, right? It's not that long.
It's not that long, and the foliage, all of that changing made it so amazing. I was very happy.
And we got lucky because we booked our hotel, the Hampton Inn, which was semi close to the stadium. And we first got there, we checked in, and who was waiting for us? None other than Courtney Williams. Courtney Williams is also a big supporter of Husky Talk. He always shares any of my shows, and I haven't seen Courtney in a very long time. It was great to catch up with him. He was waiting in the parking lot, all ready to go. And to our surprise, he even offered to drive us over.
Yeah, I do not have a car that would have fit Steven and Courtney at all. Given, the
size,
their height and size.
Two big guys.
So I initially was thinking, how is this going to happen? And then Courtney was wonderful and said, "How about we take my car? I have more room." And we did. And then we had a really interesting experience.
Yeah, because
Going,
I don't plan anything very well.
Steven plans nothing. So we had a tailgate to do, but we had no food. So we told Courtney we need to go to a grocery store. The first place we went.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't really a
was
grocery
not
store,
friendly.
and in a really
And it was in a
nice area
bad.
of Hartford. Very nice area of Hartford.
It
Very high
was,
class.
yeah, it was in a bad place. So we drove on to go to I think it's
And it was
called.
just the Hartford Grocery Mart in downtown Hartford,
It
and there was a
was,
lot of traffic.
I think it was C-Mart.
Yeah,
I give Courtney kudos because he was dodging in and out of traffic
traffic.
and did some amazing things with his car. I thought for sure we were gonna crash.
Yeah, in downtown Hartford.
I was in the back seat thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're going to die." But we got there.
And Hartford's not the nicest city in the world, right? Out of all the cities you've been to, you wouldn't classify Hartford up there in like the top 10.
Well, I mean, given the amount of times I've been in New York City,
Yeah.
I would say that Hartford was hardcore.
Kind of a dump.
I have to say, like, my first experience with Hartford was seeing a bus stop and there's a bullet hole.
Yes, a lot of
through
bullet
the
holes. Yes.
through the window.
Yes.
And then yeah, seeing a lot of homeless people, and it was just really, really sad.
Yep. Yeah. That's
So
Hartford.
we went to a C-Mart and we got in,
We rushed in.
and the aisles
Were so small and
were
tight.
they were so small.
And nobody spoke English.
Stephen was walking sideways through them, and no one spoke English. So yeah, we had to figure out
What to get.
what to get
Where it was.
and where it was. And funny enough, Courtney came running in and said, "You don't have grocery bags."
Yeah, that's right. He came
And
with 2 bags.
here in New York,
I forgot.
we are able, at the purchase line to say, like, we don't have bags, and they'll give us like
Paper bags.
paper bags, but we weren't able to do that. So he came in and like gave us some bags, which saved us. But we're skirting sideways like through all these different
people everywhere.
It was chaos, and we couldn't find anything, and we couldn't find Steven's favorite, which was sausage.
I just wanted sausage patties. I mean, I couldn't get any.
And there were no sausage patties.
Settled for burgers, and we just wanted to make sure they weren't expired.
At that point, I was so overwhelmed by the amount of people and aisles that were so small. I had to walk sideways. We just needed to get out of there. So
we grabbed 8.
So I have to say,
burgers.
like this was like my first experience in Hartford, and I wasn't terrified. I've been in New York City multiple times. Like, I wasn't terrified. I was just kind of like.
Yeah, well, it was a lot. We were rushed.
We were very rushed, and we needed to get out of there.
Yeah.
And thank you, Courtney, because you saved our lives with those grocery bags. Although I was so overwhelmed, I actually left my wallet.
Oh yeah, that's right. Somebody had
I left my wallet And thank God they call us back, and I know enough Spanish to be able
Yes.
to be able to converse and get my wallet back. But wow, that was a rushed and crazy experience. But we got our hot dogs and we got our hamburgers
And the cheese.
and the cheese
And the buns.
And they were in all different aisles. It was very strange.
It was everywhere. It was a smorgasbord everywhere. And it's funny because we didn't even get any beer. We just got the food.
We got nothing, but Courtney had a whole entire
he had
cooler.
A cooler. He was prepared.
Like he apparently must have known that we were completely unprepared.
He was so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, he had beer and
ice
and all sorts of things, like
various beverages.
We had brought a very broken down sort of, what would you call it? Like we had
the grill?
Yeah, that grill. We had a grill.
The tailgate grill.
The tailgate grill.
Which I got the day before.
It couldn't quite stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, I needed a little help from the cardboard.
It needed a lot of help.
And screwing the propane in, and we had to put it together, taking it out of the car. I couldn't get the thing to stick.
I have to say that, like, through this whole entire thing, Courtney never flinched.
No, he's very calm. That's offensive linemen. Offensive linemen are very calm, cool, and collective.
I know, but you're also an offensive lineman,
yes,
and
I'm very calm.
You were not cool and calm and collected.
No, I was getting very frustrated with the grill and ready to throw it. I was ready to throw the grill. I had enough of it trying to set it up. And we finally got it to stick. And then you were able to screw the propane tank in. And we figured out how to light it. Pressing the button.
It was an experience. I have not attended a tailgate in probably 20 years.
Right.
My last experience was Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do anything. So this one, it was like,
well, it was mine.
Steven promised the people. He promised the people.
I didn't promise. I was forced into it.
And so we had to do something. So we had to cook.
Yeah.
And that was an experience. And Courtney, again, if you're listening to this.
Oh, he always listens. He listens to everything.
Wow. Yeah, I know. He said he listens to this while he goes on his walks.
I know. You're surprised that people actually listen to my podcast.
No, I'm not surprised at that. He said, like, he relies on this while he goes on his walks. So, Courtney, I'm telling you right now.
You won't meet a nicer guy.
I love you. I think you're so calm, and no matter how crazy Steven and I got about what do we do with this? What do we do with that? You always had an answer. So kudos to you.
Yep. He fit the grill in the back, and we got the food, got everything set up. We forgot the chair. So we got to sit.
We had no chairs. We had nowhere to sit.
Yeah. So we sat on his trunk. And then I believe a few minutes later, who comes wandering over? The maniac himself, Tyler King, and he is sweating, and he is angry. He was very angry.
He was pissed.
He was very angry.
He was very angry at Steven.
Because he wanted to sit up in the suite, and he wanted a ride from the hotel. And I'm like, dude, I got 10,000 things to do. I can't, unless you're there, I can't come back and get you. And so he proceeded to take an Uber.
I think he mainly wanted to be in Burton's
Yes, he did.
suite.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he wanted.
And he didn't understand that it was invite only.
Yes, yes. I
And
kept trying to explain that to him.
and despite being told like
I
he
told
had
him,
access.
I said, to get a ticket, all you have
Yeah.
to do is fill out the form and get the ticket. He's like, I don't even know if I had the ticket because he didn't fill it out until the day before.
Well, then he ran around the whole entire stadium.
Yeah, he couldn't sit still.
And came back completely sweat drenched.
Yep. And then drank and took everyone's beer.
And we had no idea like why he had even done that, because Courtney had said, I have a ticket.
I have a ticket for you. Yeah.
I had a ticket for you. And then when Terry showed up,
he ended up going. Well, Terry said that he could sit in his suite.
Terry had already said, like, you can sit in our suite. So
he just needed a ticket to get in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was hilarious. And then he proceeded to eat 2 burgers. He wanted 2 burgers. Not one. He had 2 cheeseburgers. And he drank Courtney's beer.
I have to say,
and didn't ask.
I was the cook for all of this.
Yes. Yes.
So every time I wanted to take a break, and hold a baby, and talk to other people. I kept going back to this, like,
horrible grill.
Sorry, Mr. Colley, but this grill was terrible. And
and he took it back too, which was even funnier.
You had to hold your foot down on it so it would say stable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was wobbly.
And like the grease
would drip. We had to put the grease.
The grease was dripping everywhere, and even when I put the grease strip,
yeah,
it didn't collect. It literally caught nothing.
Yeah.
And your dad's like, when it comes back, I'm taking it back.
Oh, he was so mad. Yeah, putting it together, it was a nightmare because it was missing pieces. And then he had read online reviews about it, and all the people said that.
Yeah, he had read about it and said it was horrible. So, well,
this was after he bought it, though.
Honestly, I think I deserve some kudos.
Absolutely.
Because I made this girl work.
You managed it, yeah.
And I cooked burgers for everyone. We did not cook hot dogs.
Well,
I think that's funny because we did.
I wanted a hot dog too.
I know you did, and I did too. But we had a problem.
I didn't. Yeah.
Which was we did not pack anything other than tongs. And so when it came to opening packages, we had nothing. And it was our teeth or nothing. And we decided, no.
I would have opened it.
Okay? I know you would have.
But the problem was storing it. Because if we're not cooking 24 hot dogs.
It was 24 hot dogs.
And there was no way to zip it, to store it. So we were going to have to throw it out. I wasn't going to put it back in his cooler like that.
I have to admit that he did take 2 hot dogs completely open.
Yeah.
No, not hot dogs. He took hamburgers that were completely open.
Yeah.
And all the hot dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in his cooler.
He said, I'm not wasting food.
No, he's not wasting food. And he was very, very generous. He had tons of alcohol, and he was passing it out to anyone. And Tyler,
Tyler doesn't ask, he just takes.
Tyler took a lot of it. I was so stressed by the whole entire experience. I took a couple.
Yep. You had a burger.
Yeah, I had a burger. You had a burger.
Yep.
And your friend showed up, and we had
Yeah, they
Uwe.
all were late because they had kids.
Yeah. But anyone who wanted to eat, I
Yep.
think, Kelly the griller went right to the grill and made it happen. But
You got to meet Terry and Margot and young Callan. And I told him I don't like the name Callan, but he didn't listen to
you
me.
shouldn't say that. I
I
love
know.
that name.
I know. And you met Little T. Little T. And he put the baby's gift that my mother sent on immediately. He wanted it. I still don't know what it is.
Okay.
He put them on his wrists.
So
And he didn't want to take them off.
when Uwe and Terry showed up, there were gifts to be given from Kitty Kelly, who loves Steven's friends more than anything, probably more than Steven. And am I wrong?
Fair to say.
Fair to say.
Well, they've been coming to New Hartford for 20 plus years, so.
And so, yes. So Little T, took some of the toys and put them in his arms. It's no big deal.
But I don't know what they were. Do you know what they were? They were these fuzzy things that go around your wrist. Well, I had no idea what it was.
They were fuzzy buddies.
Fuzzy buddies. Okay.
And they hug each other, and they have Velcro.
Right. I don't even know who got them.
But obviously, a baby can't do that. So Margot said, "Oh, you get your choice of what color you want." Well, he wanted blue, but he also wanted the other one. So no big deal. We Velcroed them. They Velcroed them on, and that made him happy.
Yeah, I just didn't know what they were. I was very confused as to what they do.
I delivered the gifts without you seeing me doing it.
Yes.
So, and I also did that with Uwe.
Yes.
I don't even know if we opened the gifts.
Right. Well, Jeremiah was sleeping, so he
was sleeping. So I imagine they will be in touch with your mom to say thank you.
Yes. Yes. And you got to hold baby Callan.
I did.
Margot gave him right to you.
Margot said, "Oh, you have baby fever. You need to hold Callan." So I did, and then I plopped it right in Steven's arms.
Yes.
Yes. And we got a great picture of that. It's online. It should be online. Oh no, you have not posted it.
I did not post it.
It's a great picture.
I'm terrified.
Steven is terrified of babies. But I think
I held him okay.
You did great.
I didn't drop him.
No. Well,
I held his head up. It was good.
It's not about dropping the baby. It's about
Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit because when I handed you that baby, you immediately
You're supposed to swaddle him.
You immediately said, "Oh, I need to hold the head up."
Yeah.
So you give a lot. You get a lot of credit for that, and you're going to be an uncle soon. So
yeah, that was nice of you to inform everyone that too. I appreciate it.
I found it strange that people
decided
didn't know.
to tell everyone. That was nice of you. Nice of you to tell
You're going to be a great uncle. You held that baby like a football.
I got called uncle the rest of the time.
Nice. No, but you held that baby like a football. Yeah. You really held on to it. So
yeah, he liked me.
Anyways, we've talked long enough about the pregame.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the actual game.
Well, we had the best parking spot, and then you got to meet pretty much the second man in charge of the entire university, Phil Hunt. Phil came out to make sure that everything was okay and to say hi and said if we needed anything to let him know.
So Phil's my favorite.
No.
Phil goes down as my favorite. He was so congenial and so kind, and he wanted to make sure we knew where we were going and how to get there. And him and I, really hit it off. We had,
Yes. Phil is brilliant. Phil has like 4 degrees. He went to law school. He got a master's degree.
yeah, no, I just adore him, and him and I hit it off. And I honestly think he came back into Burton's suite just to see me.
He did. He did. He did to check on
Lying
you. Yep.
completely.
No, he did. He
But
came
yeah,
to,
no, I really loved Phil Hunt, and
he's gonna be the president someday. He's in line.
but I don't want to jump ahead. I want to say like Uwe and Terry and
Well, you met my other friend
Courtney
Dan
and
briefly. Dan was the
yeah,
one who
all
told
of
you about
them.
me throwing the pizza boxes out the window that lived on my floor.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone that I met was absolutely amazing. I was a little concerned about
Tyler.
Well,
Yeah, everyone's concerned about Tyler.
I was a little concerned about Tyler just because
He's had a lot of concussions.
Because he just kept
pacing. He doesn't sit still.
And sweating so profusely.
And he was angry.
And worrying about. He was so mad at Steven. I didn't know what to do. But he also was very welcoming, gave me a hug, took pictures, and I honestly
and my mother loved the pictures.
And I have been to tailgates at Syracuse, I've been to tailgates at Ohio State, and I have never in my life been so welcomed.
Right.
As I was here, and it was amazing to me that we were standing at a car and people would recognize Steven out of the blue and come running over. Like, Steven, is that you? Oh my gosh.
And Bev, you met my counselor.
Bev, like his academic counselor came running over and
she gave me $100.
$100. Like, there were people who he hasn't been there in 20 years, and people recognized him and came running over, and the smile on his face, seeing his friends and seeing his UConn family was something that just like it made my heart just thump because I couldn't believe it, how loved he is.
I got a call yesterday from my former agent, who is probably going to become my current agent, John Pace, and John saw our picture, and he was asking about you, and he said the exact same thing. He said, Steve, he said, you don't know how good it makes me feel to see you smiling again. He said, because I always I always worried about you, and it was so good to see you smiling. And the girl that was with you, I've seen pictures of her the last few months. She must she must be something special. And
I don't think it's anything special. I think it's that I got him to shave off that awful goatee, and
right,
and get a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got rid of that, he just automatically
Sure.
looked better.
Right. Right.
And you have to admit you've lost a lot of weight. You're eating healthy.
For the most part. Yeah.
You're looking really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't help being handsome. Can't help being handsome.
Yeah.
But yeah, John was very happy when he saw those pictures, and he wanted me to thank you because he knows that I'm not I'm not the easiest person in the world.
Hmm.
And he said she must be an angel to have put up with you for these last few months. And I said, well, it's been a little bit longer than that, but yeah. But he said, I just am so happy that you were smiling. I haven't seen you smile in forever, and that really really made him happy. Because he said, Steve, I always worried about you.
And you guys haven't seen the pictures. He hasn't posted them, but we have some amazing pictures that he will post of him and all his friends. And I think you can see that he's living his best life.
Right. So we walked in.
Yeah,
and,
we migrated.
Got to go through the metal detector.
Went through the metal detector, and he bleeped.
Yep.
But no, everyone saw why.
And we got right on the
And
elevator.
we went right in, and we went into the most amazing suite I've ever seen. Well, actually, I can't say that. I've never seen a suite.
Right.
I had Googled suites, just to see what I would be up against, and wow, did it deliver! It was, I, I can't. Michael Burton, your suite is. It is amazing.
Yep.
It is the best. The ability to look down and see everything so clearly. I actually asked Stephen, are these like magnifying mirrors? Like I can see everything so clearly. I feel like this is a mirage. It was the most amazing view I've ever had. I've seen a lot of football games, and I've never seen one from a suite. And
you got to be like Taylor Swift for a day.
I did. I literally did. I felt like Taylor
Except
Swift.
the windows didn't open.
No, the windows were open.
Oh, they were?
You maybe didn't notice, but the windows up top were in fact open.
Oh, okay.
That's why we could hear all the cheering and also the booing.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't look up. The windows were open. So that was.
And you also got to meet my other friend who I haven't seen in 20 years, CJ Hessel, and his wife and his daughters.
Yes, they were amazing.
His girls just had a blast.
So kind, and his girls were so into the game. They were more into the game.
They were.
And UConn winning, that they were making signs for everyone.
Yes.
And if we just held up those signs, we would win.
Good things would happen.
Ironically, every time we held up those signs, things did happen. And then I do believe Mike said, okay, well,
we got to turn them over.
Now we need to turn them over. We need to flip them upside down. And it was like upside down UConn signs, and hold them up to the windows. And then we still did good. So that was the second half. The first half, I don't think the first half
It was pretty uneventful. It was 7-6,
I don't
seven to
think we
six.
need to talk about it. It was 2 hours
Yeah, it was 7-6 in the first
of
half. It was very
it
long. Not a lot of action.
as my first time being at a UConn game. I'm not gonna speak poorly about the team, but
That's okay. You can.
I do have to say 2 hours for first half.
Yeah,
I was pretty tired.
you're worn out by that point. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, they have to turn this around. And is I have to say, the minute those girls started making those signs, "Go UConn, we're gonna
Yes.
win," and holding them up, what happened?
Everything changed.
Everything changed.
Yes.
And so everyone from CJ to Mike to you to me,
Mike's wife, Tiffany.
yeah, all of us are holding up these signs. And we were told, okay, you need to turn them upside down. Okay, we will. And didn't they make the comeback that they did?
They did. They did. They were down and they fought back. It was 7-6 at halftime, and it ended up being 29-20. There was more scoring in the second half. UConn got
Absolutely.
things going. The Temple kicker kicked like a 60-yard field goal, which I still can't get over. And then because we were holding the signs, he missed one. And the UConn court, the right at this time, I have to mention Green Street International. Green Street Trust International is our newest sponsor. Rennell Jump, former teammate and friend. Rennell Jump and his team specialize in asset management and tax strategies. They will have a strategic session with you to reduce your taxes. Biggest thing is tax reduction to put more money in your pocket. Schedule a free strategy session now at calendly.com/Green Street Trust. And we are back recapping the experience of going to a UConn game with Kelly Berkler. And I would like to mention at halftime, we got to go upstairs and see the guys, Terry and Uwe and Tyler. And you had an interesting experience with Uwe's son,
With
Jeremiah. Jeremiah decided to wake up.
Yeah, he woke up and he took off running, sprinting down the hallway, which Uwe told me is a regular occurrence.
He likes to run.
And had happened probably 5 or 6 times prior.
And he's big too for his age. He's 20 something months old. He's
very tall. And I went running after him, and I have to tell you, like, that kid is fast.
He's got wheels.
And he's so adorable. But when he's on a mission, like, he is going. So I eventually caught up and scooped him up. And he told me, oh, well, this has only happened 6 times today. But meeting Uwe and Terry and their wives was it was amazing. I think it was amazing to see
how close we are still.
it was amazing to see Steven back in what I feel like is like his home grounds, where he really found himself and developed as a person, and to see the people that grew up right next to him and unfortunately lived with him. There could be a whole entire segment about living with Steven.
Yep.
We won't get into that, but I mean, these people were amazing. They were so welcoming. They were so loving.
And
I just felt so welcomed. I have talked to these people.
Yeah.
Only over the internet.
Well, on the phone, you got to talk to a couple of them on the phone.
A couple of them on the phone, but I have to say that meeting them in person, it felt like we've known each other. We've just known each other. It was very comfortable. It was very easy to, come in and me. I love babies and kids, and I just love to scoop everyone up and hug them.
And you got to meet Chris, the Citus. Chris right before halftime.
So Chris came into Burton's suite, and to kind of I think he
read the room.
He read the room very well, and he was like, "Wow, so this is pretty intense. So I'm going to go back downstairs."
They were upstairs.
And no, we were on 5th, and they were on 4th.
We were on the 4th. They were on the 5th.
Okay.
We were
on 5th.
Okay.
We're gonna agree to disagree. But I swear we took the elevator down.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, Chris read the room and was like, Burton screaming, CJ screaming, everyone's ripping their heads out.
And he hadn't been to a game in years.
And he had just gotten out of work and was like, wow, I needed like a more low-key environment. I'll see you guys at halftime. And went downstairs.
And why did he come?
Why did he come?
Why did he come to Burton's suite?
Well, he came to see you.
Came to see me?
He came to see you.
Because Christopher loves me.
He loves you, and
he loves my brother.
He definitely.
He talked about that.
He said, "Oh, I don't think he loves you as much as he said he loves Matthew."
Yeah,
he just said, "Oh,
Matthew.
Matthew, I love him."
And he was so excited.
I love him. I love him so much. And then he was like, "So yeah, this is pretty intense. I'm out."
Well, he was excited that Matt was gonna be a father too. He was thrilled to hear that.
He said that Matthew would rock the father game.
Yeah.
He was very, very excited. So, Matt, if you're listening to this, Chris was so excited. And he was like, Matt's going to rock that game. Like, he is father material. So,
yep.
He disappeared very quickly.
Yeah.
I think after work he was tapped out, and he just wanted a more low-key environment. But we did go.
Well, he wanted to go to dinner after he did stay the whole game. But
we wanted to go to dinner afterwards.
It was just such a long
we
game.
had no idea this game was gonna be 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had no idea it was gonna go that long, and it ended with
probably the greatest ending in the history of Rentschler Field, according to Phil.
I don't know if it was greatest. I feel like,
well, the goal line stand at the end of the game and the fumble return for a touchdown.
I think the fumble return for a touchdown.
they were on the
was
verge of
something
losing.
that none of us imagined
No.
would happen. But at the same time, I think all of us had prepared for losing.
Yeah, they were on the 1 yard line. It was 4th and goal.
I think Mike Burton and
Burton and CJ.
CJ were ripping their hair out
Burton
and
not happy.
we're pretty much convinced that.
Well, it was.
I think if I remember correctly, Burton said, if they ask me to go down to the field, I'm not going. And if they ask me why, they know why. So it was a really fun experience. We did go, downstairs at the halftime.
Yeah.
And we had some fun, but we had to get back up there.
It was interesting in the second half. UConn scored a couple touchdowns, but that play at the end of the game, Temple could have kicked the field goal to go into overtime.
Yeah, they could have.
And they called timeout. And we thought they were going to kick the field goal.
And it went on for like 10 minutes.
Yes,
I felt like
because there was a TV timeout.
They could not make a decision about what they were going to do.
Yeah, the kicker was there, and then he left right before.
And everyone, I felt like everyone honestly were screaming, they're going to go for it.
I thought they were going to go for it.
Yes.
They were 1-4. They're playing on the road. I would have gone for it.
But the UConn defense, they were not going to let anyone go anywhere. So I think they knew that.
Yep.
The whole entire game, the UConn defense was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was why the first half was so long.
Yeah.
The defense would not allow them an inch. Yep. And so there was no yards gained, and it just went on and it went on. And
the only score Temple had in the first half, it was 7-6 at the end of the half. The only score was on the block punt. So the defense didn't even give up a touchdown. And they got put in terrible positions because of the turnovers. And they stopped them every time.
I'm not a football,
But you remember the block punt.
I do. I'm not an expert with football, but I will say that I do not know of any game where I have sat for 2 hours for a first half.
Yeah, it was very long.
Yeah. And there was no gainage either way. It was just
it was rough. It was rough going.
It was rough, and I think people were really defeated because they weren't actually seeing a game. It just was like,
well, especially because the week before they won 48-14 or whatever, so they were expecting another offensive.
Yeah, they had been doing pretty good, and
they just the quarterback Joe Figiano really struggled. And he missed some
struggled.
throws.
We're not going to talk much about that.
You're being nice.
I am being nice because
he's a kid. Yeah.
Because he's done great in other games.
He has. You're correct.
And so he had a really bad game.
Yes.
And
Temple had a good game plan. Yep.
I don't think that a player should be judged based on one game.
No.
However, this particular game, and my first time in the box, my first time seeing all this, I do have to admit, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. He missed some throws. They had a couple injuries. Skylar Bell went out, but thankfully he came back.
Well, they had a few people who were out with injuries.
Yes. Yep. And then the running back got hurt, Cam. And I hope that he is going to get healthy over the bye week. And then they also had a couple injuries on defense. But the second half, they scored a couple touchdowns, and they held Temple to field goals, and it's 23-20. There's 4 seconds left in the game, and we're holding our signs
our
up.
signs.
Yep. And
We actually were holding them upside down because the girls had decided upside down was better.
Well, Temple drove down the field pretty fast. They were back on the 30-yard line in like 3 plays. They were down by the 20, and then they got down at like the 5. And first down, second down, third down. I couldn't believe they stopped him on third down. I thought he was going to get in. So it was 4th and goal from like the 1, and Temple called timeout. And like we talked about, the kicker was in the huddle. We thought they were going to kick
and
the
we
field
never
goal.
in a million years thought they wouldn't take the kick.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go for it, but the kick,
did?
100%. I would have gone for it because
I thought for sure they were going to take the kick, and then if they did, we were going to be.
I couldn't handle overtime.
We were going to be in overtime, and everyone in the box was like, if this goes into overtime,
I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah,
we are literally going to have to start drinking, and the girls were cheering overtime.
Yeah, they didn't want to leave.
They didn't want to leave. They wanted to celebrate, and we were just like, no. Like we have now been here for 4 years.
Poor Uwe left in the third quarter.
I just said 4 years. That's how I felt. I've been there for 4 years. Like it just needed to end. Uwe left in the third quarter.
He's like, I can't. He's got a baby.
He had a baby.
He did the best he could.
I'm amazed that like Terry made it as long as he did with his kids.
Those boxes are expensive, so that you gotta make
use of them. But wow.
Oh yeah, I can't remember if you met Chris. Chris Bellamy was there too with his wife, and he had his 3 daughters that I think were there. He was sitting.
I didn't meet him, but I saw the girls running around.
Yes, he was the one. He also does. I was
never formally introduced, but I think their box pretty hectic.
Yes, yeah, there was a lot of people there, and Tyler was there.
Everyone was there, and Tyler was there too. It was a very hectic box, and so as much as I wanted to go down there, I kind of liked going back.
Right.
And kind of just settling down to watch the game. But the end of the game was...
Everyone went ballistic. Everyone was
amazing. Everyone was screaming. Everyone was yelling.
And that was...
Mike Byrne was like pulling his hair out.
He was
pulling his hair out.
Yes.
And...
He was red. He was pulling his hair out.
And we were just holding up our signs and screaming, and it was a really good time.
Yeah, 99-yard touchdown return, and Phil claims allegedly he predicted this during the timeout.
I love Phil.
He said that.
I love Phil.
He said, "I'm telling you, something's going to happen here."
No, Phil
and he filmed it on his phone.
Yeah, he did. And Phil said, "I was down in the field
with the athletic director,
and he said, I was watching this and I predicted this."
He did,
and then it happened, and then he showed us the film.
Yes, that he filmed it.
Phil, gosh, Phil, if you're listening, I just adore you.
Yes,
I think you're wonderful.
Phil was doing his best to make sure I was taken care of.
And you were taken care of.
He wanted to make sure I was okay with my leg. And
I know, but between Mike and Phil, like, we had the best time in the whole entire world. And we haven't even covered what happened after.
Well, the it was probably the first time that you had been to a college football game. And how long was Ohio
Oh,
State?
wow. Since Ohio State.
That was the last actual college football game you've gone to,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I went to I went to UC, I went to SU,
And you
but
never went to any of their games.
I was also
Yeah, right.
working. Um I was so focused on studies, I never really got to experience like the sports side of that. So this was really exciting for me, knowing that UConn was Division 1,
Yep.
best in the country. Um, they don't have a professional sports.
Not in Connecticut, no.
No.
That's why UConn is as big
And
as
so
it is.
UConn is huge. And so being invited there to go there and
Well, I did want to mention that we were talking about going, and when I had initially mentioned it to you, I didn't think there was a chance that you were going to go. But you had a conversation with your dad and kind of explained to him what was going on, and
yeah.
what was his response
My dad said like
and why?
this is one of the best experiences that you could possibly get. Like if you want Division 1, like you're gonna get Division 1, and he said you can't possibly turn this
Yeah,
down. And you get tailgate and a podcast and um
to sit in the suite too. He's like,
and just sit in
"What's
a
the
suite.
problem?"
Yeah, like I would have been happy in the bleachers.
I
Like
know,
I would
I know.
like I'm not a girl who needs fancy stuff.
No, you're not high
So
maintenance at all.
I'm not high maintenance. I could have sat in the bleachers and had just a good time. Um but I had a great time, and um but obviously my favorite time was the next day.
Sure, sure, of course.
And Chris, we're gonna call you out here. Hardcore. You delivered.
Yeah, we got in the car and we drove because you wanted to see campus, and because unfortunately the stadium's not on campus. We drove from Hartford to Stores, and Stores is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's just like you're driving and then there's a college, and I showed you that.
Cows.
Yes, the
We
first thing
saw
you see
cows.
is cows if you come the right way. I took you to the back way in,
Yeah.
and you got to see all the athletic
But
facility buildings.
we were supposed to have dinner with Chris.
Correct, but we were so
And
wiped
we
out.
were so exhausted after what felt like 16 hours of football. We literally had to go back and pass out. And so we said, hey, we'll meet you tomorrow. And he said, okay.
Yeah.
Like go ahead, let me know when you're coming in. And Chris,
He came right out front and met us. Yep.
I cannot thank you enough. I think you saw me wearing the Page Beggar sweatshirt. I think you knew like how hardcore I was.
Well, yeah, he wanted to give you a good experience, to
Yeah.
give you a tour of the facility.
Yeah, but I got the most amazing tour of those facilities, like, and
they're top of the line.
and then like, where were we? when the men came walking out.
Oh yeah, that we were by the training room,
We were
and
by
you
the
got to see
training
some of
room,
the men's
and
players,
some of the men's
the
players came
7 feet
walking
tall.
about, and I thought, oh my God.
And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're just looking up like,
No,
"Wow."
I just thought, oh my gosh, these people are 7 feet tall. I've never seen anything
Human
like
being
it.
like that, yeah.
Like these people are giraffes.
Yeah.
I have never in my life seen people that tall.
Yeah.
And
You got to see the practice court and
wow.
yeah.
I got to see all the practice courts and
All the pictures of the
I
best
got
players.
to well, I loved the like Hall of Fame shoe.
Yeah.
The shoe thing.
Right.
Where it was like all the
team shoes for every
the
year.
team shoes for every year. And I really, really liked the Kobe Bryant
Yes.
dedication
the
to his
tribute.
daughter.
Yep.
And he said that Gino actually wears
He does.
those particular shoes. And
Because he was such a proponent for girls basketball and girls sports.
Yeah, I think he said she wanted to come there.
Yeah. Yeah, she was one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and I felt such sadness because when that accident happened, I really just felt devastated.
Yeah, it affected a lot of people. Because it wasn't just him there too. There were
because
other
I've always
girls.
been a football fan, not a football
Basketball.
fan, a basketball fan. I am a football fan, but
I
basketball
think
fan.
You like sports in general.
I
But
think I like basketball.
yeah, I think
Actually,
you like
more
sports in general. I
I just love sports. But
you would say basketball is number
when
one.
I heard the news about Kobe Bryant, I really, really had a very
it was
emotional
hard.
experience to that. And so when Chris explained like how like that
The shoe was meaningful.
shoe was
Yeah.
dedicated to her, like that really, really resonated with me. I was very emotional about that.
Yeah.
But and then just seeing like the uniforms hung on the wall.
Yeah.
And then like going through the different hallways and seeing like it wasn't a picture of a person. It was actually like a hologram of a person who like came out, and then you saw their face, but then like suddenly it switched, and
it would switch.
It was like
A different
them
person.
performing.
Yeah.
And then like it was them talking, and I was just like, I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. And that's when it hit me. I am at a university that is.
Well, they're the best of the best.
No, but that's when it hit me. Like, I am at a university that is above and beyond anything I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I think I went to good universities. Like I went to SU, but like I saw UConn. I was just starstruck.
Yeah.
I
how big it is. Yeah.
I could not believe like the stadiums and the workout rooms and everything that I was
Every
seeing.
sport has its own facility.
I was just amazed.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow.
There's a standard of excellence expected at UConn for athletics.
And I thought, my dad said, like, they're one of the best in
We're
the
different.
world.
Yeah.
But until I like saw it
Saw
for
it for
myself,
yourself.
like
You didn't
all these
understand.
different, like even as we were driving, all of these different like amazing facilities.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I was like, you have to be kidding me! Like this is
Campus is
wow,
unrecognizable to me from when I was there, even.
yeah. And you showed me where you lived.
I showed you the apartments and my dorm
Yes, and it was
on
like,
the hill where I throw my garbage out the window.
but it was still at the same time like you couldn't stop to look at it. It's like
Yeah, it's on the road.
it's
Yeah,
on a road and
main
you
road.
have to keep on going, so it's not like you can stop and take a picture
Right,
or take a picture of you in front of it
right,
throwing a
right. You
pizza.
can't just pull over. Yeah, no.
Um
And we're lucky because it was Sunday, so campus was kind of quiet.
it was quiet, but it was sunny and
It
beautiful.
was. It was a beautiful day out.
And I think between the tour with Chris um
Seeing campus.
and seeing the campus, I just immediately like fell in love with the
Yeah,
atmosphere. It was just so beautiful. And then I thought to myself, wow, it's not just stores. There's another campus. There's more campuses than
there
this.
are. Stores is just the biggest one. There's like 4 different campuses that are University of Connecticut. Yeah.
And driving in Connecticut, I was just dumbfounded by the amazing beauty of the state.
Were you surprised that I had gone to college there after seeing it? Did you wonder how in the hell did Steven do this for 4 years?
No, because if you reflect back on like you and us, we weren't in the same circles. So I knew you were a football star, but well, my dad, who's recently admitted, followed you very closely.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was fully like just focused on psychology
Right,
and my
right.
thing. So I think that like UConn for me was very was probably something like that didn't resonate for me is because I was focusing on like what colleges
Right.
locally have the best psychology programs. And
We actually do have a pretty good psych program.
you
Uwe
do.
majored in psych.
You do. But I at the time was not looking
Yeah,
to
no,
go I wasn't looking to go out of
it
state.
would never cross your mind to go there.
So SU was my thing. So
Nobody from New Hartford went to UConn. I was the only one.
oh, you were the only one. And you have to admit we didn't travel in the same circle. So
Yeah,
like I went to Utica College,
yeah,
now Utica University.
correct.
And then I went on to SU.
Correct. Yeah.
Which you admit you would have loved to play for.
I would have. I would have done anything to have gone to Syracuse at that time, but the
But
Lord
I
had
think you
different
made I
plans.
think you made the right choice.
I think I did too. I think I did too. I was lucky enough to have Coach Edsel, and Coach Edsel, um, Coach Edsel held me accountable. He made me responsible, and he had me grow up fast. And he tried. His biggest thing was not about football. It was about preparing us for life, because he knew how hard life would be, and he wanted us to be ready. And that's why so many of our alumni are as successful as they are, because I think he did a great job.
No, I haven't talked personally to Coach Edsel.
Yeah.
But I've heard you talking to him. And I think your relationship with him has really moved through the years.
Yeah, I wasn't one of his favorites.
No, probably not.
I wasn't easy on him.
No, but I think he challenged you because he believed in you, and
he admit, yeah, he did.
And he really pushed you to be your best.
He wanted to get the best out of me, yes.
And he did, because you went on.
He did.
To do the best.
Mm-hmm.
I
went as far as I could.
And I think that
he was very proud.
He has expressed to you how proud he is of you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that without his hardcore love.
Yeah. Yep.
That you would have pushed yourself. Do you think that?
Not at all.
Do you think that if you'd been soft on you, you would have pushed yourself that hard?
No. Nope.
No.
Nope.
So he pushed you hard. He really came down on you, and you've talked to me about that. But at the same time, I've been there when you've talked to Coach now.
Yeah.
Where
it's different now. He's mellowed out a little bit now. But you got to understand, it was his first coaching job, head coaching job. He was 40 years old. He was young. So he was learning the ropes too.
But let's get forward to, he's older now.
Now he is, and he's very happy with his life.
And he's very happy with you.
He's very proud of me now. And he's
very happy with everything that you've accomplished, and he continues to pray for you and to honor everything that you gave to UConn and everything that you gave in football itself. And I think sometimes you don't even honor yourself for what you did.
Yeah, I was in his first recruiting class, so that was memorable. Uwe and I were part of his first recruiting class, and Mason Dixon, Ed and J Chuck.
Mason Dixon
was part of his first recruiting class.
Ed, where are you?
Yeah, yeah. So that
you're not moving unless we live or die.
Well, I have to live or die. Yeah. I have to die or get married. Then he'll come. So.
I think it's important. Like, I think that Coach was so important to your development.
He was.
And he was very, very hard on you.
Checking classes, making sure we won.
No, but he was to the point where you were going to quit.
Yeah.
And he was to the point where, like, who recruited you? Fire that person. But we've come full circle to the point where I think it's really important to acknowledge that you guys now have a very congenial relationship.
Always.
And he prays for you, and he really is so proud of everything you've done.
Yeah.
And the amazing job you've done.
Well, not amazing, but
you have been amazing.
I've been
and where he didn't think that whatever happened, you went on to be proud.
Yeah.
And
he was
like, whoa.
He was surprised, and then very supportive. And
Very
then
supportive.
I wrote him a letter. I wrote him a letter thanking him and saying, you know what, you were right, and I was wrong, and your way works. And I remember he put that letter up in the locker room for all the guys on the team to see, so they could see, like, listen, I know what I'm talking about, and this guy is proof of that. He's coming back and telling you that when he did things his way, it didn't work out, but the way that I did things, it worked out for him, and now he's playing in NFL Europe, and I'm proud that he's gotten that far. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I agree.
So I think it's great to round this out
Yeah.
by, you know, as far as UConn, and
Well, I wanted you to have a good experience too.
all the
Yeah.
things that you've been through, we finally, after so many years, came back, circled back,
Yeah.
and we put you back in the place that you started, which was so exciting. And your
I
friends,
fought going back for a long time. Yeah.
yeah, you did not want to go back, but we went back.
Yeah.
And Rensselaer Field, you faced it. And your friends were there, and you had fun. And
Can't do better than that.
everyone there was supportive.
Yes. Yes, they were.
And Michael Burton and Phil Hunt, like, everyone was so excited to see you. Your friends were so excited to see you. Even your academic advisor was happy to see you. So I think,
Well, they worry about me, you know.
I think overall, considering all of the things that that all the humps you've gone over, you showed up.
Right.
You were amazing.
Right.
You were actually happy.
Well, I could not have done it without you by my side. It would not have happened
I think
without
you could have.
Nah, probably not. It would have been a different experience if you were not with me. So
We
I
we
credit
can
you.
debate about that, but we had an amazing time, and thank you to everyone. Phil Hunt, Michael Burton, Courtney.
Courtney, yes, Courtney, Mike Burton.
Courtney, God.
Mike Burton's wife, his family,
Tyler
the
and
Bleeding Blue team that was
Tyler,
there.
Bleeding Blue. And then we also have to thank Uwe and Terry,
Yep.
and all of the friends who came, who were just so supportive. I mean, I can't think of a single person I didn't love and feel
and
welcomed by.
Chris gave you a tour. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I didn't name him first. Chris,
That's okay.
you're actually probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't like to name favorites, but
No, that's okay. Everyone could be your favorite.
Phil and Chris and Mike,
and
you're my
Jeremiah. You like
favorites.
Jeremiah too.
Oh, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah and Callan, the kids were great.
I know.
It's amazing that we're at that age now.
It was
They all got kids.
I cried to Steven earlier because I said, like, this was the most amazing experience of my life. And I got to see things I never thought I'd see. We haven't touched on the other things I saw, but those are things that are classified. So,
well, hopefully we get a chance to go back. Hopefully we get a chance
but
to go
Chris,
back.
thank you for everything that you did for me. You will forever be my hero.
All right. And everyone, Mike Burton has done a wonderful job with our NIL collective, Bleeding Blue for Good. We need more support. We need more donations. He doesn't need thousands of dollars. Give $200. Give $500. go to bleedingblueforgood.org and just donate, because we need to keep the talent we have and to get better talent. We're going to need that NIL collective. And we have the power, with strength in numbers with our alumni, to raise the money to do so. So Bleeding Blue for Good. And our last sponsor, our newest sponsor, Peter Finch and the Finch Law Firm. In a pinch, call Finch. If you've been injured, personal injury, or feel your rights have been violated, call the Peter Finch Law Firm. And for Kelly Verkler, her first experience at Rentschler Field in stores, seeing UConn, this has been a wonderful podcast. I am your host, Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back at life.